What's going on, everyone? So the Phoenix Suns have officially fired Frank Vogel after one season with the Phoenix Suns. This is now going to be their third coach in 3 years. A lot of mixed feelings about this, right? There was a lot of talk that Frank Vogel kind of lost the players in the locker room. I think they weren't really sold on Frank Vogel. A lot of people are kind of coming to Frank Vogel's defense and just coming to head coaches, period, right? I'm somebody that's talked about, I do believe a lot of it is on the players. Right? Players fail to show up. You could have the best coach there is. If the players don't properly execute, the players have bad games, the guys that are supposed to show up are no-shows. A coach can only control and do so much, right? And coaches only have so much power regardless, right? They got to deal with agents and organizations and, front offices and players' egos. And it's a lot for a head coach, period, to come in. But you're seeing this constant coaching carousel, and it's like, it doesn't really change the results, right? Like Phoenix, I don't believe their issue is Frank Vogel, right? And again, okay, fine. Let's say, they believe it is, right? Because that's usually how it goes, right? Coach is always kind of the first guy to go. But it's more so new ownership, new owner syndrome, where Matt Eshbia moved in and decided, instead of kind of retooling or maybe making some key adjustments to the roster, decided, no, we're going to tear it down, go all in and create a super team. But they didn't get the players that made sense. You had Devin Booker and you had Kevin Durant. At the time, you had Chris Paul and you had DeAndre Ayton. As soon as they went and traded for Bradley Beal, what did I say? That was it. They just signed their own death note. Because it didn't make any sense. Like Bradley Beal, okay, he's an incredible player, but you have now three guys that are essentially the same player at different scales. Right? And then you have two guys that play the exact same position and play very similar roles and have very similar games in Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. It was never going to work and make sense to begin with. You don't go from getting swept in the first round and having struggles all season to firing the head coach, bringing in a new head coach, and all of a sudden you're great. And now they don't have the money or the picks or the assets or anything to really kind of push to retool this team. And I don't see a scenario where this is ever going to work. I think what's going to happen is they're going to hire a new coach. They're going to bring that new coach in. It's going to be a lot of the same. Maybe they get a good matchup in the first round and they end up beating them. But I just don't see Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, three of those guys winning a championship. It's too complicated. You're not going to be able to put the proper pieces around them, right? They need too many things. They need perimeter defense. They need some athleticism out on the perimeter. As far as point of attack guys go, they need a playmaker more than anything. But here's the problem. Let's say you sign a playmaker. Let's say you even bring back Chris Paul or something, right? Like the issue is that now what? Now you're going to play Booker at the 3, right? Now you're super small, and you look at these teams like, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Denver Nuggets, right? Even teams like, the Boston Celtics, stuff like, you're too little. Too many of these quality teams have so much versatility and size out on the perimeter that can neutralize you. I don't see this being a scenario. I think ultimately what's going to have to happen is the Phoenix Suns are going to have to trade one of Devin Booker or Kevin Durant. I think that's the only way you're going to be able to fix this. They should have never traded for Bradley Beal to begin with, and now you're stuck with him. He has a no-trade clause. No one's going to give you a bunch of assets for Bradley Beal at this point. You can't stay healthy. Right? Like, he was a complete dud and no-show when you needed him in the playoffs. Like, it's just too many things that teams are going to look at and go, yeah, why would we bail you out and get you quality players? No. So now you're going to look to trade Kevin Durant, or you're going to trade Devin Booker. And you, especially Devin Booker, you're going to get a real haul for. But even then, it's like, now Bradley Beal, let's say you trade Devin Booker, which would give you the best return, right? Now you're talking, you have Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant. I don't think that that's enough to win a championship, right? I mean, you'd have to have really good, high quality, rotation and starting level pieces around you. Where what they should have done is they should have kept Chris Paul, right? I understand, injury concerns and questions with that, but one, he wouldn't have been the second best player like he was prior. Two, he wouldn't have been asked to do as much heavily on both sides of the ball compared to just playmaking. DeAndre Ayton, I understand you kind of needed to trade and get off of because the relationship was spoiled. Okay, I think you could have gotten a nice return for DeAndre Ayton and remained patient and waited for that right response. And even if you wanted to get Nurk or something, like you should have gotten more, but whatever, right? At least you would have had a playmaker, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. You would have had Nurk, and then you wouldn't have been in this like purgatory. So you could have maybe potentially looked to make a move to add in like a legit sizable 3-and-D wing because you wouldn't have traded all your picks to go get Bradley Beal. Right, so maybe you could have actually had, maybe you could have thrown your hat in the OG ring or something like that. And you would have had Chris Paul as a $25 million expiring contract that maybe you could have traded to go get some other pieces. Right? Like it didn't make sense for them to do it. And now I don't think a coach is going to come in and save the day. I think the only way out is you're going to have to trade one of Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. Now, they might do it this odd. There's a lot of talks about Devin Booker potentially being on the move. I think what they'll do is they'll hire a new coach and they'll run it back, kind of try to retool the roster. But I think next year, not this year coming up, but the following year, I think that's when you're going to really have to start, okay, like we need to look to move Kevin Durant or Devin Booker. Because I think it's just going to be more of the same, right? I think you're going to be middle of the pack in the Western Conference because you do have talent, right? You do have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. But I think once you get to the playoffs and you're playing those teams that understand how to neutralize you and have the size and have the versatility, I think that's it. You're going home. Because I just don't think that they're going to be able to do enough to do so. I wouldn't be shocked if come the trade deadline, they end up moving one of these two guys. Now, there's a lot of talk of them bringing in Mike Budenholzer. Supposedly that's supposed to go quick and they're supposed to bring him on board. Apparently he's already looking to create his coaching staff and whatnot, and he's very likely going to be the new head coach of the Phoenix Suns. Again, I don't know how much of an upgrade is he over Frank Vogel, right? Like one of the reasons he was fired was because he lost Giannis, right? Or at least that was a lot of the talks and a lot of the reports. But I mean, you can say the same thing about Frank Vogel. It's just a lot of talk, a lot of reports, right? So it's just, is he going to demand what is needed from this team? I don't know. I don't think the head coach, when it comes to Phoenix, was the problem, right? Like, I don't think Frank Vogel was necessarily the issue. I also don't think he made sense for that roster to begin with because he's a very specific style of coach. He likes big guys. I don't know. Like, every time he's had success, it's been with multiple bigs, right? Like, defense side of things. I just think that to begin with, the roster didn't really add up. Like, maybe Mike Budenholzer makes them better and more efficient on the offensive side of things because that was kind of one of the big questions with Kevin Durant. But I also think a lot of it is just you don't have a playmaker. You don't have anybody that can run the offense. And now if you do go get that playmaker, now you're tiny, right? So you're starting, let's say they go bring in like a Tyus Jones or something, right? Because again, they're very limited on what they can do and what they can bring in. But maybe they could go to Tyus and be like, hey, we guarantee you a starting role. Come to us, right? So now you're talking, Tyus Jones, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Nurk. Okay. Again, you have zero defense. You don't have size. It's all the same problems. Now, maybe you're more efficient offensively, but look at Denver right now is getting absolutely ran through because Minnesota they're just clams. Defense still wins championships. At the end of the day, it does. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with do you disagree with my points? Do you agree with my points? What do you think the answer for the Phoenix Suns is? Do you think it is Mike Budenholzer as a new head coach? Do you think the only way to save them is to trade Devin Booker, Bradley, or Kevin Durant? Because again, you're never going to be able to trade Bradley Beal. Like, no team is going to sell the farm to go take on and bail you out for Bradley Beal. Right? I just don't see a scenario where the Phoenix Suns are able to turn this around just with a new head coach. Right? Don't get me wrong. Coaching matters, and coaching can make an impact. Right? So maybe Phoenix is better. Let's say that they are better. But all of their holes, all of their issues, all of their flaws are not going to change. It's not. I just don't see that necessarily happening. And I said this as soon as Phoenix made the trade for Bradley Beal. Right? I mean, again, I have the videos on this channel. I said, like, that's it. Like, they're not doing anything. People are already like, oh, give them the trophy. They're winning the chip. Why can we just fast forward to the finals? No one's beating them. And what did I say? I was like, they're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. And you saw it all season. You just knew, like, they're not doing it. They're not going anywhere. And I don't see that changing. I just don't. I had a really good pulse on Phoenix this year, and I think it's going to be more of the same next year. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. So again, let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. It helps me a lot. I enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.